Youngpreneurs Podcast, episode number 140 with your host, Victor Ahipeni. What's up, world? Another day, another podcast. And today I've got a really cool episode where we dive into, I know a lot of you out there have had an idea. You've talked about it with your mates at the pub, at a cafe, in brainstorming groups when you've been trying to maybe get out of the rat race, and you said, hey, this idea, this product, I think would have an amazing impact in this industry or this niche. It might shake things up. It might add value to what's already out there. But you hit this stumbling block as soon as you get started because you don't know where to start. So you get this fear built up. And what that leads to is inaction because you don't know the next steps to take. And that's where our guest today, Matt, comes in. And he is one of the co-owners of Idea House & Co. And he is going to take us through basically what he does to help entrepreneurs, startups, and established businesses create products, get them prototypes done, get them created, get them shipped, get all the things that can really hold us back and be niggly and time consuming. And he also talks about going through that product market fit to see if there is actually a product that is worth doing. So there's heaps of value in here. It's really cool because it's something that I've never really spent a lot of time with anybody who does anything in this space. So it's really eye-opening to me as well. So I'm sure you'll enjoy it. If you do enjoy it, make sure you jump over to iTunes, leave a rating and review because I love hearing from you and what you're up to. And if you want to check out other episodes, jump over to passiveincomeyoung.com, where we've got a lot of free other trainings that will help you go from your 9 to 5 or where you currently are to the whole next level. Well, guys, grab a pen and paper because there's a lot of info in here. And in the meantime, keep living life on your own terms.
You're listening to the Youngpreneurs Podcast, the number one resource online for under 35-year-olds, where we chat twice a week to the most inspiring entrepreneurs in the world. We have it all. If you're looking for inspiration, guidance, or actionable tips to help you transition from that job into a business, or if you're ready to take that business to a whole new level, then this is the place to be. Get ready to live life on your own terms. Youngpreneurs, what's up? Welcome to another episode of the Youngpreneurs Podcast. I'm your host, Victor Ahipeni, and as usual, thanks for choosing to spend your time with us because I got a superstar guest, Matt Ryczek, which I hope I pronounced that right after two re-questions before we got started. He is a co-founder in Idea House & Co., which is an exciting business based out of SoCal, Southern California, and we're going to deep dive into his business, how it all kind of became from an idea to a business, and then share with you some awesome gems. So welcome to the show, Matt.
Thank you for having me.
It's absolutely my pleasure, man. I love to start with our guests just to get a bit of an idea about entrepreneurship for you. Like where did it start? Was it something that was were you the kid selling lemonades outside the front of your house, or was it something that kind of struck you later at life, or was there like influences from your parents, or where did it all kind of start from you?
Well, it's kind of been inherent amongst my entire life. It's kind of been in my DNA. It's when I was young, you get lunch money, right, and then I would just keep holding on to it every week, and then use that to invest into other things, and then turn around and sell it to other neighborhood kids. Back when I was going through middle school, Pokemon cards were a big thing, and so I would save my money, go buy a book that said the value of what they were, and then I'd buy them in bulk, and then go take all the valuable cards and have a book that supported what the value was. And I'd go up tell the rich families and the rich kids and go sell all these Pokemon cards to the parents that would pay for it. So that's kind of where like the drive started. And then my father started an engineering company in 1996, and it was basically just engineering, mechanical engineering, just outsourcing because he used to work for Stanley Hardware. That's nationwide through Home Depots and now internationally. And he just got kind of fed up with the corporate world and said that he could do it himself. And so I watched him do it. And then with my own niche of doing things, just kind of went with it.
Nice. And so for everyone out there, how old are you?
Right now, I just turned 30 last December.
Oh, nice. You're back in. I got 2 months on you into I'm in the dirty 30s as well. So talk us through like leaving school. What did that kind of look like? Was it always like, hey, entrepreneurship's, or business?
No, it actually wasn't. So for me, it was, I've always kind of had this like philanthropy part of my life where I like to help out, like to kind of a real underdog rooter. I always find those people that are kind of down and try to help any way I can. So when I when I was done with the high school, I was like, I'm not a 4-year college guy. It's not in my numbers. It's not going to happen. So I went through the local fire academy. I was going to go into be a firefighter, and I went through EMT training. And at that time, I kept hitting brick wall after brick wall. It was late 2012. I had one kid on the way. Me and my wife at the time were renting, and it was like, I got to figure something else out. This isn't going to cut it. So going out through school, then going back to my roots and knowing what my father did, I went, I can get back into the business side of things, and I can still have that helpful heart with not having to risk everything and wait for that kind of fire job to kind of take off. I can go and make this into the business world.
Nice. And so I guess with that beautiful segue, what is it that you do, or that you and your founders do?
Yeah, so it was based off of what my father started in doing engineering, and he basically is a service-based business that only does mechanical engineering for entrepreneurs and investors or inventors that don't have engineering resources. They don't know how the mechanics of things works, how to engineer for manufacturing, any of those practices. So he kind of honed in on that niche. And me and my brother came through when we grew up out of high school, and then finally when we both went through college. My brother took over the design side. I came in, and we became owners, and then rebranded everything from the ground up. So I do the business development. So to kind of in a nutshell, kind of package this up so people can understand what we do. We support entrepreneurs and investors through the business development, engineering, design, and manufacturing, all the way up until distribution. So we don't do any of the, we don't distribute to big box stores, Home Depots, other things. We don't have those relationships. We let our customers or our clients figure that out for themselves. But everything back end we handle, from literally inception of an idea all the way through the delivery of manufacturing.
Wow. So with that, does that involve some heartbreak for some of the people that come to you? Like, do they come to you and they're like, all right, I've got this awesome idea and this is how it's made, and can you get it made this way because this is how I make it in my back shed? Like, what? Yeah. Is that some of the stuff that comes about?
So that's kind of where my role comes into the business. My partners, they handle the actual engineering and the design side of things. My part is the business development. So someone comes in with an idea, they go, oh, I have this great idea. It may be, I had one client a few years back, came to an idea, they said, I want to do a straight edge razor. I said, that's great. Let's sit down and figure out what this market looks like. And so we start diving into actual numbers of what the market looks like. And in that market alone, it's an $88 billion, from the industry reports I was pulling, it's an $88 billion industry. And amongst the $88 billion, there's only 4% that was actually managed by smaller private entities. The other 96% was going to be controlled by 3 major companies. And then amongst that 4% was 10,000. So that's just one example how I kind of reverse engineer the industry to see if it really fits this person that has this idea. And that's not more of a scaring tactic. It's more of a reality check for them. If they have the wherewithal to do it, more power to you. If you feel that you have the financial and the connection and distribution channels to kind of derail an industry like that, I fully support it. But when I look at an entrepreneur from across the table, and he's thinking about financing it by mortgaging his house or selling his assets. It's like one of those things, like you don't have enough to land the plane on the runway. It's just not going to work.
And this is what, and like, it's so awesome that you guys are doing this, because it's something that I see time and time again, that I either hear like afterwards about these businesses that have failed. I'm like, how did you even start that? Like, I don't come at that in like an arrogant way. I'm sitting there going like, who told you that was a good idea? Like,
yeah, we've seen a lot of those.
Yeah.
I have some, we have a lot of, we're connected to a lot of meetups and other inventor groups that a lot of, I hate to say it, but they're kind of like hobby inventors.
Yeah.
They have these great ideas. They sit in there, they tinker in their garage, and they're kind of waiting for that next big break. But that they don't really realize the next big break is really a pipe dream, and they don't have enough connections to make it happen.
And the other thing is, like, they don't realize that a product is one thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I can manufacture it for $2 and I can sell it for 30. Awesome. And then they realize that, and this is obviously isn't my space, but then there's all this marketing and market awareness, and
Sure.
Is it something like, are you trying to introduce something that no one else is doing? And I'm sure you hear that all the time. There's nothing else like this out in the market. Like, until I Google it and it's the first 5 results of freaking
absolutely.
something.
And then even more so on top of that, you have the typical elevator pitch where they go, it's a $100 billion industry. If I get 1% of 1%, and I just go, do you know how much it costs to speak and communicate to 1% of 1% of $100 million? It doesn't just happen overnight. And I also I personally mentor at Cal Poly Pomona, which is it's a 4-year university right next to our office, and they have an entrepreneurial program as well. And so I am helping those students kind of get to these same kind of understandings where they just go, we have this great idea. They have to go, great, with this idea, what do you think the price point is in the industry for this? And they go, well, based off, our research, blah, blah, blah. They go through the whole thing. They go, we can sell this for probably $30. I go, great, which means you have to produce that somewhere in the $6 to $8 range.
Yeah.
And they look at me just dumbfounded. They just go, what? I go, and you have to pay for tooling costs and ocean freight and import duties. And if there's right now I'm importing an electric scooter for one of my clients. And we have lithium ion batteries. So we have to file new dangerous goods certifications for shipping. I mean, there's just a gamut of things that people just don't understand or don't know yet. And it's not bad on them because they just don't know it.
Yeah, that's why they're coming to you. You guys are the experts exactly. to tell them. But yeah, it's often what you don't know that's. But I mean, like you say, it's killing a pipe dream, but it's also not. It's like making them realize, hey, you can spend $200,000 of your hard-earned life savings, which is fine. Like if you're not risk adverse, then that's cool. But here's the likelihood. You're going to spend the $200,000. That's going to get you production, and then you got nothing to market it with, and you got a big freaking thing. So I mean,
and so we also help them. Like I had another client that the initial production tooling and the first order of production was going to be just around $50,000, and they go, man, I'm trying to look for investors, some seed money, just to get off the ground. If I get through this first barrier, we'll be good. And so what we work with them to help them get through these barriers. So what we did on that project is we used prototype tooling. So the shot life, for anyone that's listening that doesn't understand shot life on injection molding, that's how many times the mold can actually open and close. So and push out parts, physical parts. So if the shot life goes from 100,000 shots down to maybe 5,000, the prototype tooling is going to be maybe 7,000, where production tooling maybe 20,000. So we kind of cater it and kind of help our clients get the best fit, because right now my client list is anywhere from 30 to 40, and that's rotating every single year. And those clients are all startups, and they all have startup budgets and the same barriers that every other startup has.
Yep. And then you also get the on the complete side note, we're the Uber of we're the next Airbnb of knives and forks.
You throw Uber in front of anything and you're good to go, right?
Yeah, it's my biggest scare thing is when I hear people go, yeah, we're basically the Uber of knife and forks and spoons. You're like, what? But yeah, I mean, from from a logistics standpoint, so I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are looking to, I mean, I know, for instance, there's a lot of people out there who are doing drop shipping who listen to here, things like that. Obviously, a different beast altogether, but from a logistics standpoint, there's someone out there listening. They've got a product, they've got an idea, they've got the product off it. What kind of runway timeframe is probably the better word. Do people need to, I know it's obviously different for everything, but for people to kind of grasp that it doesn't happen in 2 weeks from when they give you a thing, what would a process look like from go to woe, if you were to pick an average looking product?
So I mean, it kind of in our world, it kind of gets broken into two halves. First half is the development side, which is the engineering, the design, material selection, prototyping, testing, those types of things. In a perfect world, you'll prototype once and you'll test once and you'll be good to go, but that never happens. So it really just comes down to the complexity of the project. I have a client right now that is literally an electric scooter. It goes 20 miles an hour, and it's a great product. But that product we started in 2015, I think it was 2015 September, and we are delivering our first production container, 20-foot container, in 2 weeks. So that is just shy of 18 months, I believe, from today. Yeah. So, that's one. And then the other side is, it could be much simpler and a much quicker lead time. So as far as production goes, production is pretty straightforward. Once you have your idea and your product and you have your files, your drawings, specifications saying exactly what you want to produce, tooling for injection plastics or any type of plastics is typically a 6 to 8 week window. Then after that, you go into production, which for production is going to be anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks. And then after that, you have a week on the week in port, 3 weeks on the water coming from China if you're importing from China. If you're not importing from China, then you're in the U.S. or wherever you're producing from. If it's your own domestic market, obviously your shipping lead times are much less. But if you're importing into from China to anywhere else in the world, you have that 1 week port, 3 weeks water, 1 week port, and then local transport. So all in all, for production side, you're looking anywhere from 12 to 16 weeks, starting from scratch. But if you're, like I said, if you introduce an actual new product that's innovative, that you're doing the R&D the first time out the gate, you are looking at anywhere from a minimum 10-month window all the way up to 18, maybe 24 months.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing because you see, I've read articles about, say, a Callaway driver coming out, and in China it's like out 24 hours later, a knockoff version. You're like, damn, you guys, a company puts all the R&D in, and then another company's just like, cool. All right,
oh yeah, and it happens all the time. Obviously in our world, we're dealing with patents all the time. We have very good relationship with a couple of patent attorneys, and it's one of those things that's like, most people, and there's another thing I have to get entrepreneurs to understand is a patent is not a shield. It doesn't protect you. It's a sword.
Yeah.
You have to be able to support your patent with financial backing and go after somebody that infringes on your patent. It may shy away some of the small guys that don't have the resources to fight you in court. Yeah. But other larger corporations or companies that say, you know what, they still have to come fight me to protect their patent. And I know they're a small company or a small entrepreneur or a startup, they're not going to do it. And so that's another thing I have to get a lot of entrepreneurs to understand is a patent's not it's not the end all be all. You have to use that and go protect your patent. So it's a very weird thing to kind of wrap your head around. But once you understand what that patent actually does for you, the perspective on that patent really changes a little bit.
It's super interesting. Analogy, the sword, because that's what it is. If I started up some sort of physical product right now, someone steals it, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the other thing is also, and dealing with the U.S. patents, they changed the laws a little bit. I think it was in 96 they changed, or 97 they changed them. It used to be a 17-year protection from the date it was awarded. Now they backdated it to the day you filed. It's a 20-year protection, but it still takes you anywhere from 8 to 24 months just to get the patent finally approved and through the U.S. Patent Office. So it's just, even though, like what my client with the electric scooter right now that we're importing in, he filed for patent back last year with all the documentation, all the specifications identified and laid out. We got knocked off from a company in northern China. We went and we went into their booth at CES this year and addressed them. And the thing is, they kind of look at it and go, well, until your patent's awarded, you really can't come after us. So, and they have a point. So it's one of those things. It's just kind of like you have to kind of outmarket them. You have to out-service those clients, kind of perform above and beyond those knockoffs in your own market until your patent's even available to even go protect it.
And that's crazy as well, because I mean, it makes sense. Like, they are right. It's like, oh, I've got this thing that says that you're not allowed to do it, but it hasn't been approved to say you're not allowed to do it yet.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, then you are allowed to do it. Like,
exactly.
I can see their logic, but I can also see how you'd quickly become bald if someone was ripping off your patents from pulling out your own hair. So let's get a bit more about you. Like, sure. What does a normal day look like for you, if there's such a thing?
Yeah, my days are sporadic at best. So basically, every morning, I get up, I check the emails. Typically, I get up around between 6:30, 7:30, anywhere in there. I got 2 young kids at home now, so I got my 3-year-old and my 4-year-old. So I usually have breakfast with them. Work from home a little bit from that time till I leave about 9. Get in the office, and usually it's right off the bat, early morning meetings, emails, and then from there it's afternoon meetings, scheduling, and then I leave the office around 4, go to the gym, come home, have dinner, and then it's back at it again. And I'm on every night. I'm on emails and Skype meetings with my factory that's in China, and clients. Yeah, nice. So my days consist of anywhere, a light day is 10 hours. So,
and then it's it's the entrepreneurial dream, apparently. Stop working a 40-hour work week. With your lead. So going back to the business, with your lead generation, how does that generally come about? Like, how do people not necessarily go about finding you, as in what are your contact details, but how do you it's not
how do we get new business?
Yeah, it's not a takeaway joint that you see with a drive-through as you're going home. Like, it's like, I've got this thing. How do people find you?
Yeah, so we did a mailing back in early 2000s. When I was 16, and my dad was just out of the garage starting it out. And from there, we just did a couple of mailings out. We didn't do any formal marketing from there until 2012, almost 15 years of absolute zero marketing. Everything was word of mouth marketing. Everything was referral based. In our business, we have clients that are paying us anywhere from $10,000 to $500,000, and so they tend not to just do any impulses. Yeah, they tend not to believe on one email. They have to kind of build that rapport. So everything even today is basically just harnessing a company culture, company wide, to where clients see us, they come to our office, they see us on social media, or they meet one of us, and they kind of have a culture that people want to work with. So that's kind of where we kind of dive in on our marketing, rather than doing mailers or emailing marketing, or actually doing social media marketing. We just kind of harness this culture that is delivering over value, so much value, as much as I can, completely free, that people then they turn, they look, they hear the information. I give them tactical advice from day one to anyone that comes in our office, so that way they can start working on their business. Because the reality is it doesn't take the only way we're successful is if our clients are successful
Yeah.
in what they do. So my job is basically just to harness that culture and cultivate it and really grow it so that everyone that comes in contact with us just gets something out of it. And the way we really look at it is that we believe that if someone comes in contact with us, they learn something or a different perspective or a different tactic, then it's going to come full circle. So that's kind of what we've been doing, the last 20 years.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing with a lot of businesses, that people worry about giving away things for free. Like with if I was putting a physical product out and I start reading all your stuff and it's like, this is what you need to do. You need patents and you need to deal with like manufacturers. And I'm sitting there going, okay, I know the what. I don't really care about the how. I'm going to get someone else to do that because these guys obviously know how to do it. And rather than like, hey, this is what we do, but we're not going to tell you anything about it because you need us. And it's just showing everyone this is how difficult it is. This is why we do it full time.
Yeah, exactly.
You should be your business owner, not the person who's chasing around everyone else everywhere.
Exactly. And I say this very seriously. We're very good at what we do. We zone that in, and so it's kind of the mentality of you run your business, you harness your brand, you let us manage the back end for you, because we're the experts at it. We've been doing it for so long, and the most part, a lot of our clients, they interact with us for a few years, and they try. We have clients that tried to start managing their own production. They try to take over certain things, and on the long-term scale, it always comes back. And they always come back full circle because certain things they're not experienced in it enough, and they have too much on their plate. So we believe that it's going to come full circle, and I don't have to really worry or micromanage clients or worry about my secrets being used, because it is difficult and it's a hard job to do.
So last couple of questions on you. Favorite book or resource that you'd recommend to anyone out there listening? Can be on anything.
Favorite book. One book that is great is Trust Me, I'm Lying. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Have you read it?
Yeah, by Ryan Holiday. It's my top 3 books, and I love everything he writes. But it's a gripping, awesome book. One of my past guests used it to launch his app, and he was on BBC World and TechCrunch, and Tim Ferriss shared his article. Exact same tips. He used everything out of that book.
Yeah, it's not. I love it for the perspective of challenge traditional thought. I'm a big advocate for asking why and why not a lot more than just assuming answers are the reason things are the way they are. So that book is one of those books that's like, you see an ad, you see marketing, you go, well, what's the real story here? Why is this being published the way it is? Why are they spending it this way? Who's paying for this? Or whatever it may be. But it draws a lot more questions out. Another book is if you're importing anywhere from China, anyone listening, is Poorly Made in China by Paul Midler.
Cool.
A great book. I can tell you firsthand, over half the stories I've seen firsthand. So it's a very interesting business relationship dealing with the China market and manufacturing, especially in today's world and how things are starting to shift. But it's a great book, and especially if you want to get that experience.
Cool. And finally, so we'll link all of that in the show notes at passiveincomeyoung.com. But finally, if in 5 years' time, what are you doing? Where are you doing it?
5 years' time, we have a couple of projects we're partners on. Those will be coming out. I got to keep them under wraps because we're under NDAs, but those will be launching in the next 6 to 12 months, which will be very exciting. Get on our social media and watch out for that. Which is everything's at Idea House & Co. on Instagram and on Facebook. But we're re-engaging a basically completely free digital magazine. We have patent attorneys, we have VCs, angel investors, engineers, designers. Basically, if you're starting a consumer product-based business and you want to learn how to get through the R&D side of it, email dowork@ideahouseandco.com, and we'll get you linked in with our completely free digital magazine. So it has a ton of information for anybody and everybody, links to all of our contacts industry-wide, anyone that writes in the magazine. That includes patent attorneys, manufacturers, across the board. So if you want to talk to any of them direct, all you do is just click on their article and it goes straight into their webpage.
Cool.
Yeah. So and the next thing is that if anyone listening likes this, send an email to, again, dowork@ideahouseandco.com. We'll be launching a podcast in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And on that is going to be basically focusing more on what we're talking about tonight, is product-based businesses, how to launch those products, how to get through the R&D, the prototyping, the engineering design aspects, all of those things that are very troubling for those product-based entrepreneurs.
Cool.
So
I'm looking forward to hearing that. So keep me in the loop with that. But we will link all of that in the show notes, passiveincomeyoung.com. Check out that newsletter, everyone, because you never know where that idea that you've talked about over coffee or beers for too long needs to actually come to fruition. And it sounds like you've found the right people to do it. So thanks again so much for your time. I just want to welcome you to the Youngpreneurs family. Just throw us out your best links or social, or where people should find you.
So at Facebook, it's at Idea House and Co. And on Instagram, again, it's at Idea House and Co.
Cool.
All spelled out.
Awesome. We'll link those, and I look forward to following the journey and keeping in touch.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Victor.
Thanks for listening to the Youngpreneurs podcast. This was proudly brought to you by the Podcast Institute, the #1 training resource to take your business from chasing leads to leads chasing you, and from an absolute amateur to a full-blown authority. If you're looking to take your business to the next level, then a podcast is the obvious answer. You can get national and global exposure in a very fast time, and it's just exactly what I've done with this podcast. So if you want to find out more, get a checklist on how you can get started for under $60, and to find out more through a small training video that I've prepared for you all, then please check out passiveincomeyoung.com/podcast training.